Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Tuesday, August 29th of 2023. I trust that you guys are having a wonderful day, a wonderful week so far. How was your Monday? Uranus, your anus, is in retrograde now. Yeah. I felt like every other day, there's like another planet going retrograde. That's what it feels like. It feels like every other day. We just had Mercury that went retrograde. Now Uranus is on retrograde. And when Venus comes direct or stations direct, 12 hours later, Jupiter goes retrograde. So, yeah. And what's funny about that one, too, is that even though Venus is going to be stationed direct, it's pretty much going to be stopped. So it's not really like it's gonna kind of feel like a faux seven planet retrograde, which is insane. That literally like almost all the planets would be retrograde, with the exception of Mars. And Mars is in Libra. Mars doesn't like to be in Libra. So yeah, this is one of those times where you have to just sort of like and things aren't going the way that you thought you're going to that you thought were going to go, when the timing of things feels a little off, when weird little like quirks, weird little things just start popping out of nowhere. It's the time where it's like, you know what, I have the resources to get through this moment, just kind of smile through it. If you can't learn to laugh right now, I don't know what to tell you. So let's hop into the transits for today. Admittedly, there doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on today, but we're kind of building up to this full moon in Pisces. So that's the main thing, right? We have this moon over here in Aquarius, starting the day at 14 degrees. It already would have made that opposition to Venus, which happened in the middle of the night, pretty much. Yeah. So, well, early in the morning too. So I guess if on the East Coast, if you if you crush it and you get up early and stuff like that before everyone else does, then you probably felt this energy. Actually, some of y'all probably felt this energy anyways. Just getting ready for work, because 6:14 is not really that super early. So we did start off the day with that energy. So it happened here at 12 degrees. Venus, which of course, now the next time that the moon opposes Venus, Venus will be coming forward. So that is the nice thing about this. This is the last time that we're going to see this. Although, granted, I think we only saw it one other time too, because Venus is retrograde. It's only 40 days. So, in fact, we'll just go and take a look at that. Here, now let me go back by month. Bam. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like the last time it happened was like right at the beginning of it. So the last time that, hold on, back. Yeah, so the last time that the moon had opposed Venus, we actually get two this time, which is kind of interesting. So we don't always get two oppositions to it. So this one happened right at the beginning of the transit, when Venus was at 26 degrees. That's when the moon opposed it as well, right? Coming off of that really intense full moon in Aquarius that we had. I don't know if y'all remember that one at the beginning of the month. So that was a pretty intense full moon. Um, Definitely changed the game in a lot of ways. So, of course, at that time, Mercury was still going forward, Uranus was still going forward. So, this one right now, this opposition definitely has a bit more of a flair to it. Let me switch this back to hours. Definitely has a bit more of a flair to it. Has a little bit more seasoning in the way of a Mercury retrograde and a Uranus that's retrograde as well. In the way of, the moon's going to also square Jupiter and Uranus today. So there's definitely this element where, we don't necessarily want to feel alienated. But with Venus retrograde in Leo, and it's at the degree that it's going to station direct, that Venus is going to be here for a while. So remember the last time that Venus stayed at a degree for a long time? It was at 28 degrees where it retrograded at, and it was there for the better part of 2 weeks. We're about to go through the same thing again, except it's going to be at this place where it's going to direct. So if you remember back to that time, several weeks ago when Venus was just stuck, is we're going to pretty much play out that energy again, you know? So this time it's happening right over here. So this is really definitely going to come down to whether or not you believe in, well, because I say believe because 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 is the number of Jupiter, right? Um, which they're about to, like I said, switch. Venus will come online, Jupiter will come offline. So this is about whether or not you really do believe in the quality of your own heart, the quality of your own passions, the quality of your own joy. That's really what this comes down to. And, you know, when you accept the fact that you are an infinite co-creator, then you realize that the value of your heart is infinite. But sometimes we can get really into our head and we can start to alienate ourselves from that aspect, especially when it comes to like, the community, because Aquarius, while it does rule in many ways individuality, it does still rule the collective energy too. So this is going to come down to like, well, are you going to outsource your belief and the quality of your heart based off what other people feel about you or other people think or what the dominant narrative in the collective is? That's the thing about this. Or is this going to be something that comes from within and is not determined by what anyone else says or thinks or feels about you? So it'll be a bit of a challenge, of course, because we still do have Jupiter and square to Venus. We're going to be experiencing this for a while. So in many ways, we have like the nice little T square here between the moon, Venus, and Jupiter that happens today. Jupiter and Taurus not moving very fast at all at this point. I'm pretty sure this is the degree that it's going to retrograde at. Just let me make sure. Yeah, it's the degree it's going to retrograde at. In fact, the moon's going to come over Jupiter at that point, which I think is interesting. How literally we had the T square, and then the moon comes over Jupiter during that moment, right? So we have. Oh, I'm still going by days. Oops. Let me fix that. There you go. And then hours. Yeah. So yeah, we still have this T square between these energies. Now, like I said, this moon squaring over to Jupiter, which is also happening today. It's going to be happening at 15 degrees, right? We have a moon smack dab in the middle of Aquarius and a Jupiter smack dab in the middle of Taurus. Now, since Jupiter is not moving much more, this is going to kind of feel like getting that last bit of toothpaste out of the bottle and stuff like that before you have to go change it. You know what I mean? Trying to get that last little bit out. This is sort of like, say if you're like pumping up like a ball, like a basketball or whatever, right? Or like one of those exercise balls. So you're like trying to pump up one of those things. Love you, Burbies. You're gonna do great. This is like pumping up one of those exercise balls and like trying to take it as far as you can without popping it. You know what I'm saying? And the moon in Aquarius, if you get really too caught up on what other people feel or what other people say is the best way, right? Instead of trusting your own heart, instead of trusting your own sense of value, you know what I'm saying? And when I say your own sense of value, I think it's good to have collective value. And honestly, that's probably the reason why we see a lot of strife right now in certain countries. Is because the collective value isn't quite there, right? There's no collective set of morals. So it's not like we're just completely out here alone and we can't ever listen to anyone's ideas or opinions and stuff like that. We just have to be discerning right now, especially because, like I said, Jupiter, the planet of belief in Taurus, is not moving very fast right now. He's only going to move like a few more minutes, and that's it. So, and Jupiter retrograde is a deflating energy. So right now, everything's feeling inflated, right? Inflated, inflated, inflated. Uranus just went offline, which is, going to throw a bit of a curveball. I mean, the lights are off, if you will. And then Jupiter retrograde means that things are going to get deflated, right? So this moon squaring over to Jupiter, which the moon likes to be in Taurus, it's exalted in Taurus, right? So, you know what I'm saying? This is going to be one of those energies, especially since it is the number of Venus, 1 plus 5 is 6, 1 plus 5 is 6. Venus energy, right? And Not only that, but I mean, both of these are in the decan ruled by Mercury. The moon is in the decan ruled by Mercury, and Jupiter is in the decan ruled by Mercury. And where's Mercury? Retrograde. Virgo with the sun. So a lot of things are being revealed right now as far as, you know, analyzing your life, analyzing your daily life, analyzing where can you expand in your life, where you can expand as far as like your sense of self-worth and value, money. That's another part of it too. Money, of course, right? And of course, with the moon here in Aquarius, definitely wanting to connect with people in a powerful way, especially, this is one of the I mean, we're going to be getting them because it's going to be a while before Pluto comes into Aquarius. So we'll get some more moons in Aquarius without Pluto there. But that's just the interesting thing. Like it's, you know what I mean? At the very least, Cancer's gonna stop. Like Cancer's, y'all been under attack for a while. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all had to deal with Pluto. Y'all had to deal with Saturn. Like y'all had to deal with you know, Mars too. Like y'all been under attack for a while, and then Jupiter as well. So, you know, at least at some point, you know, in the near future, Pluto will come back into Aquarius, or retrograde back into Capricorn, then come back into Aquarius, and then we'll get what 20 as what's it like 15, 20 years of moon conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So, we got to savor these moments when the moon's in Aquarius, because once Pluto gets there and the moon starts conjuncting Pluto in Aquarius, it's definitely going to start to transform a lot of the dominant narratives and the way that people feel when it comes to like society at large. That's when things are really going to shift. Ideologies are going to really shift with the moon here in Aquarius, especially with the Uranus that is off, which means the lights are off, which means that you can't see any stars in the sky. And you are that light, especially since the moon is being illuminated by the sun. It's not full, but it's still being illuminated. So there's still a reflection point here, which is why I wanted to bring things back to the Mercury energy. Because, like I said, moon being here in the decan ruled by Mercury and Jupiter being here in the decan ruled by Mercury, the moon's being illuminated right now by the sun, even though it's not full, and Mercury's here at 20 degrees. So it's definitely going to be this time where it's like this Mercury retrograde is actually going to be our friends, helping us to kind of go back to the drawing board, figure things out, address things that we've been putting on the back burner. You know what I'm saying? Really get intentional about, how we organize our daily life, and how that can, how by reorganizing things can, refresh and actually put us into a different vibrational state, so we can law of attract to ourselves the life that we really want. Right. So now that moon, come the end of the day, is going to make the square over to Uranus. Now, this is an interesting one because the moon, like I said, is exalted in Taurus. Uranus likes to be in Aquarius. So there's some mutual reception here. Now, granted, this is 2 plus 3, which is 5. So this comes down to mercurial energy again. So a lot of things are coming back to the mercurial energy. This is a very hermetic time right now. So it's like, if this is a time where really navigating this and not overly attaching yourself to every single thought that comes through, and just kind of allowing yourself to become the observer of your thoughts, so you're not overly attached to everything, is going to be really, really key right now. Because with this square, even though it's mutual reception, there's going to be some challenges here. I was thinking about the metaphor that I was going to use for this earlier, and it was perfect, and now it's freaking left my mind. It's kind of a perfect example for this. Like, you may think of things, and they may suddenly leave your mind, right? With that Uranus retrograde and Taurus, things may pop in, and then they may pop out, and it just popped back in. I just thought about it. So this is this is why this one's interesting, right? Because this one you're going to really feel more on a collective level. I wouldn't be surprised if some weird news came out today, and then this is they're going to try and use this to try and influence people's thoughts. Why? Because like I said, 2 plus 3 is Mercury. Being that these are in the last decans of their various signs, it becomes more social, more of like a worldly kind of energy, right? So this is like, be careful of becoming like an LGM that's connected to a Unimind. You know what I'm saying? Like Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear, Star Command. You know what I'm saying? You had the LGMs, the little green men, and all their minds were connected to a Unimind, right? That's the thing about this. So it's like connected to one hive mind. Uranus is off, which means that the Unimind is also turned off, if you will. It's turned off, which means that now what's going to happen? Everyone's thoughts are all connected, and now you'll become like alone with your own thoughts. Oh, that's scary. You know what I'm saying? So I would not be surprised if some type of news comes out today, or maybe even tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if some news kind of comes out today where they try and get everyone on the same thought pattern. Because that's really what this comes down to. Moon squaring Uranus while the moon's in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus. This is like a thought pattern, right? And, just be wary of being, just be wary of someone trying to perform some sort of weird juju on you, because this is an energy where there could be an element where they try and you know start to force a certain narrative. I say they, whoever the fuck they are, but they try to force a certain narrative and try to get you to think a certain way. And it's going to be weird though, like I said, because Uranus is offline too, so it's like they kind of have to do this, because I mean it'd be one thing if Uranus was direct and this was happening, especially at this degree, you know what I mean? So it's not like we've seen the moon square Uranus at this degree in like I don't know how long. I'd have to like actually like go back and calculate it. And what's interesting about this time too is that Uranus is also making the trine over to Pallas Athena. We talked about Pallas Athena a good bit on that Mercury retrograde video, where yeah, Pallas Athena is a master strategist, right? So this is actually a pretty good time to actually, in many ways, kind of rewire your own mind to kind of get away from the dominant narratives of the collective and to kind of come within and find like your own, like kind of figure out your own thought patterns and how those thought patterns may influence your day-to-day reality, and how can you be strategic about changing those if you don't really like your thought patterns. Just say, like, for example, you tell yourself every day, I'm not good enough. And then today will be kind of like a day where you kind of like recognize that. And then what can you do to change that? To say the whole I'm not good enough. You know what I'm saying? There are ways around that. You can start telling yourself that you are good enough, even though it's going to feel weird. You can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I am good enough, even though it's going to feel weird. You know what I'm saying? It's the kind of energy that we got going on. It's a pretty interesting, it's a little complicated energy, but I think really what this comes down to is don't allow yourself to be influenced by, especially like I said, Aquarius rules social media too. It rules the internet. And like I said, with Uranus going retrograde, that means that there's going to be weird shit that starts coming out in the internet. Um, since the energy is going to be turned more internal, I wouldn't be surprised if there are weird like internet outages and stuff like that that we see over this Uranus retrograde. Weird things with even just the structure and the physical representations of the internet, weird things happening with servers. I would not be surprised if things are happening like that, especially when the moon comes over Uranus. It's going to definitely make things even more interesting too, coming off of a full moon in Pisces. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that. And honestly, it might be a good thing. Special, it might be a good thing if the internet goes up, because then you kind of could just, you know, you kind of could just kind of come back within, kind of go into a bit of a hermit mode, and then kind of learn yourself in many ways, right? Kind of go back within yourself, find the light within, And then instead of trying to use everyone else's light to guide, because you can see the whole room and everyone else has like their lights on, and just using everything else around you, you kind of come back within and realize that you have that light within to guide yourself out of these moments, to guide yourself through this dark room, if you will. That doesn't have to be dark, but you get what I'm saying. So I think it's going to be definitely an interesting time. We do have a small little yod that's forming between the moon, the north node, as well as Pallas Athena here too. So once again, there's definitely going to be this thing that kind of comes back to how are we strategizing in our life with the Pallas Athena? How, um, when it comes to like the home base, if you will, like how do we kind of guard our home base? So that comes down to like your sanctuary and stuff like that, right? So it's like how does how does your home in many ways look, and how does that give you strength? How does that help you to recalibrate and recoup so you can go out and be the best version of yourself, right? Now, of course, like I said, with the North Node there in Aries, with Eris on top of it, there's definitely going to be this sort of like warrior like quality to this energy. And even though things may feel weird right now, we are really being asked by the universe to kind of pick ourselves up by the bootstraps. Now, not to neglect our emotions, because the universe will never ask us to neglect our emotions. We do that shit. You know what I'm saying? We'll do that shit and kind of go against that flow. We're never being asked to neglect our emotions and to suppress them, because when we neglect and suppress our emotions, then that's when shit gets broken. That's when things go awry. That's when the damn fucking burst. That's when pipes burst, and then it just turns into a big terrible mess and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's part of life. We all do it, but the universe isn't per se asking us to just suppress our emotions. But we have to learn also how to keep our emotions in check. And we also have to, like, when things get tough, the universe does give us the tools to pick ourselves up, to rise like the phoenix, and to really move forward in a powerful way. So this is one of those moments where, with so many planets that are retrograde, that are offline, this is it's a time where we are really being called to embrace our inner light, to embrace that inner warrior, to overcome these challenges and to move forward. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this is definitely a time where you want to you know, find something, do something that makes you feel stronger, more powerful, that helps you to take the edge off, that helps you to laugh. Like I said, not suppress the way that you feel, but just acknowledge it, observe your thoughts, observe your emotions, feel what you need to feel, but then move on. This is a time like we are in a birthing time. We're about to birth like a whole new universe essentially right now. And that's why it feels so weird and uncomfortable, because we're about to lose the comfort of the shell that we are in, and this shell has protected us, but it's simultaneously become a prison. So now we're wanting to break out of this shell, but then when we're exposed to that new realm, to that new paradigm, of course that's scary, but we have to trust that the universe is going to have our back. We got to trust the universe is going to have our back, and that, by walking in faith and through our actions, that we show that we have that faith, that we'll be okay and we'll move forward and we'll get through these times. So I know it feels crazy right now. I know it feels weird. It feels like the world is falling apart. This is a time, especially with the sun in Virgo, with the Mercury retrograde, and with the Pallas Athena. It's definitely a time where, even though the world is falling apart around you, and may feel like that, even if it's not happening in your personal life, maybe it's happening just, you could just feel it in the community or in the world at large and all those sort of things. And we're waiting for the shoe to drop, which the shoe has already dropped, right? It just feels like it's dropping in slow motion and it hasn't hit the ground yet, but we can feel it. It's going to hit the ground next year. That we can still, it's like, well, you know what? Take solace in the fact, first of all, that the shoe is already dropped. So it is what it is. All right, cool. What can I do about my vibration? Not focusing on the vibration of everyone else, But what about what can I do to focus on my vibration? And if I could work on my vibration and strengthen it, fortify it, if you will, so it's not easily influenced by other people, unless I allow them and invite them into my space. That's the thing about it. So, like, you can strengthen and fortify your vibration, but it doesn't mean that you have to be just so closed off to everyone. You can invite people in, but you have to get to that place where you set up those healthy emotional boundaries, right? I really do feel like, honestly, when Pluto goes into Aquarius and the moon starts conjuncting it and then opposing this Leo energy, that's when the collective is going to start to learn how to set healthy emotional boundaries. It's going to destroy boundaries first, though, but it'll help us to actually establish healthy emotional boundaries. That's really what's going to happen once Pluto goes into Aquarius and the moon starts conjuncting it for the next 20 years. So, anyways, let's get into the cards. It's funny. Like, I will be looking at the charts before I hop on and film, and sometimes there are days like today where I'm like, there doesn't seem like there's a lot going on, and then I end up talking for like almost 30 minutes still because there's always something. And I think that's like even like a good lesson here, where it's like sometimes you may feel like, well, I feel like I'm not really getting much out of this. Say if you're working on like a project or a particular craft or whatever. But the more that you do it, even if there are days where it doesn't seem like it's going to yield that much, you will be surprised that just simply putting yourself in that space on a day-to-day reality, you will be surprised at what comes out. You will be surprised at what you're able to create. So don't give up. Even if it looks kind of weird today, even if it looks like there's not really much going on there, be surprised. You will be surprised, especially if you just keep at it. Jeez. Okay. I mean, you bent, so there's something going on with that card. It's like I was trying to shuffle, and then that card's just like, hey, hey, had a little bit of resistance. What a resistance. Participation. I want to say this is the Four of Wands in this deck. Participation. Maybe the thing that we are avoiding right now. I mean, it's upright, but maybe the thing that we're avoiding right now is coming together and accepting responsibility for why the world is the way that it is. Now, I know you're probably thinking there's some people that have contributed more to the destruction of this world than others, but you're here too. So, what are you doing? Are you working on your vibration, or are you just contributing to it by allowing yourself to kind of fall into the same patterns that kind of take your energy down, that lower your vibration, and have you in an inauthentic state? This is a time where we need to come together. You know what I'm saying? We can always point fingers and all that sort of stuff, but legends are made. The people that become legends aren't the people that just succumb to what the world was telling them. They did something different. They fought against the grain. They went against the grain and they did something different. That's why they became legendary. And then they go on to influence thousands upon millions of people because they didn't listen and they didn't participate in that narrative, but they participate in the narrative. Like, what? I'm going to live from my heart. I'm going to do what spirit has called me to do. And then they go on to make massive change. So you similarly, you may feel like maybe your participation in this, maybe you feel like you don't necessarily owe the world anything, or the world doesn't owe you anything either. But maybe you don't feel like you owe the world anything. But you owe the world your best self and bringing your best version forward. And then I think as we start to come together with that, when Pluto goes into Aquarius and we start to come together more and we start to find our tribes more and we start to participate, then we'll have like these little collects all over the place that are raising the vibration of the planet. And that's really what counts. I have abundance here. It's in reverse, but I also have the Fool. I have the Fool here too. So this is, and look how far off the cliff, excuse me, look how far off the cliff the Fool is. He's damn near falling down. There must be a trampoline down there. Or that flower is actually going to keep him afloat. That flower is going to actually keep him afloat. Little does he know, right? Have the courage to just like gleefully walk off the cliff. Walk off the cliff that people are going to be like, don't walk off the cliff, don't walk off that cliff. Have the confidence to gleefully walk off that cliff that people are telling you not to walk off of, especially if it's something that spirit has called you to do. But people will be like, no, don't do that. You're going to not make enough money, or you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be safe and secure and stuff. So they're going to be trying to keep you away from your abundance, right? Walk off that cliff and see what happens. See what happens when you walk off that cliff. See what happens when you go for that thing and you go against the grain a little bit. Because what most likely happens, like, yeah, you'll fall. You'll probably bounce back up. Because like I said, there'll probably be a trampoline down there, or something will come get you. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a dragon will come out of nowhere, a Phoenix will come out of nowhere and save your ass or something. Or maybe Charizard will come out of nowhere. But ultimately, I think this comes down to, what risks are you willing to take? What creative risks are you willing to take if it means raising your vibration and attracting the life and the abundance that you really want, that is already your birthright too? Because we were all meant to be abundant. It's a lie. The scarcity thing is such a fucking lie. It's a lie. So don't have them make you think that things are scarce and that there's not enough to go around. Our God is an awesome God. So, yeah, there's more than enough to go around. There's so much abundance and opulence for everybody. The reason why it feels so weird is because we have gone against the nature of God. But now we are going to be doing our best to get things back into the flow of the universe so we can raise the vibration of this planet and really kind of reinvigorate the spirit of humanity, because humanity is meant to do great things. We've done some great things, but we've been kind of dormant for the last 2,000 years. It's time to get back to our greatness. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you'd like a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed, and I'll see you guys on the next video, which I think will be the full moon and Pisces video. So that'll be fun. Y'all take care. Have a blessed day. Peace.